Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Secrets for an Inspirational Life. How are you all? I hope that everybody is doing well today. I hope that life is bringing also a little bit of joy and hopefully soon a lot of joy, and that you are all well. And in these particular times, it is sometimes very difficult to remember that every single breath that we have is actually for a purpose. While we are alive here on earth, we have a purpose. And for us not to become despondent, because that's so easy to do, especially when we're listening to other people, to all sorts of things out there that affect us, seen and unseen. But what we have to be sure of is that the messages that we are receiving from our heart and our soul is something that is clear for us, and be sure that it is always going to be what is best for us. We just have to have that courage. And sometimes it's not easy to follow one's heart and soul. But I feel in these times, but actually in any time on earth, there is always a reason. There is nothing that happens that is a coincidence, absolutely nothing. To every single person that we meet, there is a greater purpose. There is a soul contract, in a way, that we have agreed to before we came onto this planet. And that is something that no matter how hard we try maybe to avoid our destiny, somehow we get put back onto that road that takes us to the destination where we are heading. So don't fear. Don't be afraid. It's some of the, sometimes it's some of the simplest things that we hear in our day from people that give us the simplest messages. But don't be afraid, because whatever happens in life is meant to happen. And the thing that we can do is to find our reason for being on this earth. And at this time, you are needed. Every single one of us is needed for this huge awakening that is happening right now. Now, I am very excited today and absolutely delighted to welcome my lovely guest, who is Marie Fleming Grant. Now, Marie Fleming is the founder of the Awake Revolution. She is a love and relationship coach. She's a hypnotherapist and an energy practitioner. But this is not all that she is. So this is like the official Marie Fleming Grant, I have to say. So there's so much more. Marie overcame chronic fatigue syndrome and changed her career from being a child protection lawyer to helping people live their life with purpose. She helps women and men to drop the baggage and become the real version of themselves, and to revolutionize their love and relationships, to drop the baggage. That is so key. Drop everything that is weighing you down. And I think that's when we discover that we have a tremendous amount of power and our wings are released. And that is exactly something that she does. She helps people at various stages of their life, whether they're getting over heartbreak, wanting to find love, or improve their current relationships. Marie believes that we are all here to create the life that we truly want, and that each and every one of us has an incredible amount of internal power that we can tap into once we know how. And that is something that she teaches people how to do it. And today she's going to share her life journey, because it's incredible. And I am so honored to welcome dear Marie.
Hi, Mimi. Hello. Thanks for
And
having me.
thank
Lovely
you
to
for
be here.
coming. Yes, I'm so honored for you to be here, Marie. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I love even your introduction. Everything you said, I completely 100% resonate. And you've sort of summarized my life's journey in your introduction
Oh,
beautifully, because it's just that. It's connecting into your real reason for being here. And I think that probably summarizes underneath all the work that I do, because whether it's love and relationships or creativity or whatever aspect we're looking at, it really is just drilling down into the core, who you really are on a soul level. And that's what I'm all about, and in my own personal life, and also with anyone I come into contact with, especially in these crazy times. So that just summed it up beautifully, I think.
oh, thank you so much. And I'm really happy. I'm I was so excited for you to come on because you are such a perceptive lady, and there's so much that you put out into the world that is profound and so deep. And it is rare these days for people to have courage, firstly, to speak the truth, and secondly, to live the truth. It's two very different things, I think. But you do it so beautifully. So tell us, because you do so many things. You are, as I said, the founder of the Awake Revolution. You're a coach, a hypnotherapist. You do energy work. Tell us a little bit, Marie, of where it all began.
So as you mentioned, I started my career as a lawyer, totally different. But it always
Completely.
came,
My
yeah,
goodness.
totally opposite. But it always stemmed from, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to help people. So even when I think my earliest memory was I was 6, and I went to a karate club for about 3 weeks, and I taught everything I knew in the playground to my friends. So it's like whatever I knew, I wanted to teach. But I 100% knew I was here to help. So I just ended up pursuing a career in law, because I felt that that was where it was a great place to kind of represent people, the underdog, people that couldn't speak up for themselves. And I was really here to do that. So I pursued that career, and I did it really via a very long, hard route, because I had my daughter at a very young age, very unexpectedly. So I was 18 when I had my daughter.
Mm.
Um, I picked up my A-level results like the same summer as I had my daughter and became a mother. So that was a really tough sort of journey. And it was, sort of going through various childhood, teenage kind of traumas and things. But I was very determined and resolute that I was here for a reason at the time. I wanted to pursue this career, and I did. So I did it, very, very pleased with myself when I did it. But I did it in a very, what I now term as a very 3D sort of treadmill autopilot way of living. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people know how that feels, to sort of just be living life, and it looked successful on the outside because I had the status, I had the job, I was paid well, and I did it as a single mother. And I got all these compliments around my strength and my resilience and all of that, stuff. But it really
Mm.
cost me, because what I was doing, it was always sort of living from the head. Like, I'll be happy when I reach that goal, or when I reach this level, or, the next goal. And it just, long story short, it just led me on this path of, I was just very disconnected, very, I'd say I just really got good at neglecting my emotional needs, mental needs, physical needs, basic stuff. And I just burnt myself out so severely, to the point of illness, and I couldn't work anymore. So it was almost like, I talk about when I went through my own transformation, it wasn't by choice. I'd love to say I chose that route. I was aware
Mm.
enough, but it was just thrust upon me. It was like what I was doing wasn't sustainable. I was in this office, 9 to 5, black and white, following somebody else's like map. And I used to wonder why I was sitting at my desk, successful, feeling absolutely miserable, because I wasn't creating anything. I was just following these rules that never made sense to me. Not really. So in the end, I think my body was the part of me that sent me all the messages, and it gave me these symptoms, and I created this sort of scenario in my body where I was severely ill to the point of being housebound. And that was a tough journey. So it sort of, everything got stripped away, and I lost all the outside things, all those things that give you security, comfort, validations, where I got all my value from at the time. So when I lost that, and it was a very, very dark time, and it was over about 5 years or so, that's when I hit what I call rock bottom, but it was also my breakthrough. So it was that moment where, and it's sort of what I recognize happening in the world at the moment. So, you're looking at things, all the things are falling away. You don't recognize your life. And I was then forced to go within. So I was always, spiritually aware from a very, very young age, but I'd never really allowed myself to go there. I sort of held it at bay. So it was only when I was ill, I really had to kind of dig deep and had to transform everything, because I thought, I'm going to recover, even though the NHS in the UK were talking to me about just managing symptoms, and not having a normal life. So I had to dig really deep, and that's the catalyst that made me go within, really, I have to shift and transform my traumas, my baggage, my thinking, my emotions, and really connect into myself at a deeper level. But I'd say, again, very long story short, but the moment where I really connected was on my very worst day. And I was really contemplating checking out of this life because my body wasn't working. I felt like I wasn't being a mother. I wasn't being kind of anything, of any worth. And I really questioned whether I should be here. And it was at that moment where something came in. It was like a sense, it was like a thought that came into me, and it was like, you are here for a reason. And it was like a voice now I recognize. I'm much more connected into that. But at the time, I didn't quite know where that came from, but I knew it was powerful. And it was a very clear sign that you are here for a reason. What you're going through it has got purpose and meaning. So that's when I kind of, something inside of me just clicked. And then, you just took the next step. So for me, that was just looking online to find some help from somewhere. I found this clinic. They were talking about recovering from ME, chronic fatigue. And I just went on this journey of healing, deep, deep, deep healing, changed everything about myself. But along that way, not only did I do that, it was much more of this soul connection. And I recovered fully, went on to do that work as well with people to help other people recover. But that's what kind of started my journey. And I've been on this journey ever since, up until this day, and it never stops. It's always like a deepening and an evolution of that soul connection. So it's just been such a journey. But yeah, it was kind of thrust upon me, as it is.
In a way,
yeah. Exactly.
In a way, somehow, sometimes life happens. I found that in my own life as well. And when you hear stories of people that go through this great transformation, Marie, where I think deep down as children, we all know the purpose of our life. I'm a firm believer in that deep down we know what the purpose of our life is. But depending upon our circumstance and the family that we grow up in, the environment that we're in, we are sometimes forced to somehow dumb it down and try to be like everybody else. But the thing that we learn later, if we are lucky in life, is we're not like anybody else. And this is where the problem is that everybody wants to be like everybody else, the majority of people. And we forget that we as people are individual beings and we each have our own purpose.
100%. Yeah. And it's that kind of knowing as well. It's like deep, it's underneath the thoughts and the feelings and the stories. It's that knowing. And actually what's been coming up for me recently is, as I've even dropped even deeper into that, my mission, actually that's what I call it now, is when I was small, and I think it was probably when I was around maybe 6 years old, I remember, and I've always remembered this, lying in bed, suddenly getting a sense of, we are beings of energy. I didn't have the word for it, but I knew we were here. And I said to myself, oh, I am here forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I just went there in my mind, and I kind of had this sort of sense of a very expansive universe beyond this planet, really, really expansive. And I think for my little 6-year-old brain, I ended up getting a bit overwhelmed, and I had to stop. I had to kind of shut it down. But I remember that memory, and it wasn't a learnt thing, and a lot of people feel that, you're different to your family. So I grew up in a very kind of Catholic, religious, not overly religious, but very Catholic way of living, but my beliefs were very they were just there. I never learnt them in this lifetime. So it's funny, I had that knowing at age 6, and then as you get older, you move away from that. You let the world, and it's set up to do that, condition you away from the truth. So really what I think we're doing now, even collectively, is unlearning everything, letting things drop away, and really just connecting back into who we always were, who we always knew we were. We just forgot. So that's how I see it now. And I think there's like a mass awakening happening, where more and more people every day are doing that exact thing, and it's magical. I see it online, and I see people who I've known, for a few years suddenly talking about things and sharing things they never did before. Something's happened in the last year, and I love it.
And I think it's a great opportunity, and it's something. I read a really fantastic quote today. I don't know if you've heard it, and I don't know if it was Pablo Neruda that said it, but it was something like, even if all the flowers die, something similar, it doesn't stop spring from coming.
Yeah.
And this is what I thought, and I felt it very deeply, because it doesn't matter, in a way, whether people realize or not, the change is happening. And even them not realizing, I think, is part of the change. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Because there is a bit of I think, panic in some people who are saying, oh, people aren't seeing, everybody needs to see the truth. I don't think that's necessary, thankfully. I'm really pleased about that. We don't need everybody to see it, because the whole ascension awakening process is happening. It's inevitable, it's moving, and it's just something that's happening, and we're sort of going along with it, going along for the ride. But it's a great ride to be on. Sometimes it's not so fun, but it's like, it's not. I love that quote. That's the perfect quote, because it's like, it's happening anyway. It is.
Yes, it's happening anyway. Look it up. I think it's Pablo Neruda.
I love that. I will.
It totally changed my perspective. And I only read it this morning, and I thought, my goodness, that is exactly right. Because no matter what, the train's going in that direction. We're all passengers on this train of life. And some of us get dragged on. Some of us are asleep. Some of us are awake. But regardless, it's not going to stop what's going to happen.
Exactly. And our role is sort of based on our frequency and our consciousness, is how are we going to ride that train, right? We can do it in multiple ways, but we're on it. And I find that really comforting, and it feels very true to me. It really does. And it's why I don't really have any fear around. I don't say I like it all the time. I have my very human moments around it, but I don't fear the process, because I really have that knowing. I know that we're going to move where we need to be. And I really do. I'm so solid in that. So, and that's probably part of my mission, to really hold that and share that with people, because not everybody has that maybe confidence, that's that trusting and that knowing.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that, every single person has a different job, whether they realize it or not. It's all part of this great kaleidoscope that you move one person, it has to affect the energy of the entire world. And it is sort of a huge and gigantic thing to think with the mind. But if we can imagine that every single one of us is connected energetically to each other.
Definitely. And I was saying this to somebody in a session recently, because it's this kind of very normal feeling at the moment with all the big things happening in the world. Some people who are aware are feeling almost insignificant, and I had this feeling last year. I remember feeling, oh, if only I had a platform of 5 million, I could really make a difference, right? Who knows where that's going to go. But like, I really felt that. And then I realized as I was going kind of along this journey, and I'm seeing it in people, exactly as we just said, it's like everybody's significant. So there are some people who have a huge following. There are some people who are much more doing things like we are doing, podcasts and speaking. But even if you're not out there doing those things, you are highly significant just by being the light in your body. And I think that's the piece that most people don't realize, just how important they are on this whole journey. You could be just living your quiet life with your family, just living and breathing every day, and you understand what's happening. You're staying out of fear. You're in your power. You've got your connection, the power that comes from that, because your energy just ripples out, across your home, your town, your city, your country. And I love that. And I just think that's such a great reminder, because I believe that as what I call now star seeds, it's like we've been people that are awakened to this, what's happening, and can hold that higher frequency. It's like we've been sprinkled across the planet very strategically. And I love this. It's why we feel like we're alone sometimes. We don't have all the friends around us, sprinkled all across the planet, because we're all these kind of lights. Imagine like little lights sprinkled around, and we all light up the part of the planet that we happen to be in. And we do all form and connect together. So I guess that's just for anyone that needs to hear that. It's like you are highly significant just by living and breathing and being here, just by being present and witnessing this whole journey that we're on. I don't think the human mind understands that enough right now.
And I don't think it actually is a time for the mind. I think this is the point. I think this is why a lot of people are suffering with mental health, because it is exactly what you said, Marie. I totally agree with that, is that they feel they're not significant. And yet they are so significant. And it's a time when we have to connect. Unless we connect with our own inner power, our own inner source, we can't survive on any level. It's going to be absolutely impossible. And also to think that we can go back to, as the favorite thing is, back to normal, back to how it was. We're not even the same people 20 minutes ago.
Exactly right. Yeah. 100%. I mean, even I'm not technical in the medical field or anything, but they, I've read some stuff about even our organs renew themselves. There's a much better way to explain that, but it's like every few years we have like brand new organs and things in our body, because we regenerate at such a high level. So we're continuously like these new beings, which I love, because it means you can start over. I'm a big fan of, you can start over in any moment of any day. It doesn't have to be a Monday or a first of the month.
I love that. Moon. I'm a great believer in that.
Yeah. Because it's all, we put it off, that we like Monday I'll start the thing, or, the new moon I'll start the thing. It's like, no, you could start like at 3:10 on a Wednesday afternoon in this moment.
You can start now.
Right now in this moment.
Start now.
Yeah.
They can, people out there, to everyone that's listening now, to Marie and to myself, and that feels in their heart, well, can I do it? Well, it's easy to say, but can I? Well, why can't you do it? Of course you can do it. We just have to make our own mind up in that respect. And we have to be the ones who control our minds, because once we let other people control our mind, that's the game that's over.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's something, and the good thing about that's something you get to practice, because it's so easy, isn't it? We look at other people out there and they look positive and strong, and it's like, oh, it's all right for them. But I can tell you, I didn't always think the way I did. I always had my beliefs and things in the background, but I definitely, I had a lot of I'm nowhere like that now, but I had a lot of self-hate and sort of lack of self-worth and all of these things. I didn't believe in certain things in myself and so much fear. And I'll use this as a good example to kind of give it a concrete example, but the visibility thing, like now I'm doing this, I'm talking to you, and I do live streams and videos. And if you knew me like 5-6 years ago, and I'd have had a conversation that the idea of even showing up on Facebook, let alone doing a video, I would have cringed and I'd have said, you've got the wrong woman. There's no way I end up doing that stuff. Are you insane? But it's amazing. Like it's just with little steps, one step at a time. And often the thing that you really want to do that scares you to death is, fortunately or unfortunately, the thing that is probably the most powerful thing for you to do. Because I was so scared of being visible. I had to have a hypnotherapy session with a training partner of mine at the time to get myself over the fear of setting up a Facebook profile. Because that was the level of my fear. So I'm just going to plant that little seed for anybody. If you've got, if I can do like Facebooks and show up and stuff now, and that's where I came from, I promise, like whatever the fear or the thing is, you can absolutely move through it. You really can. I don't believe there's anything that can keep you stuck permanently. I really do. Whether that's health, financial stuff, relationship stuff, your belief, your creativity, your fear, whatever. I think everything can be healed and you can move through it. I really do.
I believe that to a point. And then I believe also that even in our illness and in our despair and in all the things that we go through, I think there's a reason for that.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And I
think we can reach to a point, I think, but also sometimes, Marie, I don't know how you feel about this. I think maybe, tell me what you think. And I'm not sure, I'm no expert here, nor wise sage or guru, but maybe we chose some of the tests that we are going through, whether that be emotionally, spiritually, or physically, because not only for us to raise our spirituality, but maybe to also teach the people around us.
Yeah, definitely. I've got such a bee in my bonnet about this idea that we have kind of law of attraction. I'm all for it, but it gets taught in a very funny way, a very inaccurate way. And sometimes it's like that sort of thing of if something bad's happened in your life, you must have created and attracted it in because of your vibration. And I whilst I think there is a part of that that's true, it's a universal law. There are pieces and things in the puzzle and things that we do that we had already chosen to experience. So that's why I think, we never have any judgment or shame around any of this, because I know my illness, for example, yes, I can look back and see how I created that. I can see how I lived my life and led up to that. At the same time, I'm so aware, and from people I've worked with, that was so part of my journey. I was absolutely supposed to go through that, as it was a catalyst that was set up right there. I was always going to do that, because from that, amazing things happened as a result of that. So this isn't about avoiding so-called bad things and avoiding all the negatives, because we get so scared of anything that's, this talk of negative as being, can't go negative, you can't feel bad feelings. I think this is about embracing everything. And sometimes we have, like, relationships is a great example. Sometimes people give themselves a hard time. They say, I should have listened to my intuition, but I didn't, and I ended up with this person, broke my heart, really painful situation. But sometimes our intuition will guide us into doing something that will create that for us. I really believe that, because there's a soul level contract sometimes where we are supposed to go through this pain or this, this difficult situation, because that's where we grow, and that leads us to something bigger, and potentially, if we choose it. So I really do believe that there are things that we're meant to experience. Definitely. It's not just sidestepping them,
No, that's absolutely right. Absolutely. And I don't know if that reminds me of something, a book I've read. I don't know if you've ever read it, Marie. It's called Embraced by the Light, Betty J. Eady, about a lady who have a look if you have time. It's and for listeners out there, it's Betty J. Eady, and I think then she wrote a sequel, The Awakening Heart, I think it was, and it was about a lady who had a near-death experience, and where she had died to the physical body, and she was taken, and she was given all this information by these highly evolved spiritual beings, some of them being angels, some of them being holy people, and some she didn't really, disclose who they were. They were just, highly enlightened beings. And one of the things that I will always remember, and I read it when I was quite young, sort of, I don't know, about 17, 18, and it said that every single person has a soul contract. And there was a baby up there who really desperately wanted to come down and couldn't, because the parents weren't ready. And yet she knew the time was right when the mother to be had a car crash. So these are like huge things, but we have no idea, really, do we? What we have promised on some level. We think we don't. I have to correct myself. We think we don't. But I think ultimately we do. And I think a lot of the frustration, the sorrow, the aching of the heart comes from that we do know what we're supposed to be doing. And because we're not doing it a lot of the time, me included, that is when we suffer.
Yes, definitely. Because I think it's almost like becomes more painful at some point in your life not to follow your soul's plan than it is to face whatever fear you need to get over it, right? And that's what I reached. I kind of reached that last year. I was like, it's painful now not to speak and write and share and about the topics that I really want to talk about. Because we dull ourselves down, we dilute ourselves all the time. For fear. And we've got valid fears. We might have had previous lifetimes where bad things happened when we did speak out. So it's there for a reason. But yeah, I love that. That sounds like a great book. And I love that. It reminds me of another book, Your Soul's Plan.
Oh,
it's a brilliant, but I've got them two, they're not here. Yeah, I've got two, Your Soul's Plan and Your Soul's Gift. Absolutely brilliant books there. Who's it by? Robert Schwartz. Hold on.
I'm going to have a look at that.
Yeah, too brilliant because Robert Schwartz. Yeah. So it basically tells the stories of, how you planned before your birth to come into this life, and it accounts for you chose your family, this is challenging if you've gone through traumas and things, but it makes more sense when you read the book. We pick our circumstances, right? So parents, part of the world, afflictions, genetics, all those things, but it's basically choosing the vehicle that's the best for your mission. And it's a brilliant book, and I remember reading it quite a few years ago, maybe when I was ill actually, and I thought, it really solidified that idea of when these things that happen that are difficult, if you can find a meaning behind them, that's how you can start connecting into your soul. It's so powerful, and it gives you that resilience through kind of whatever life brings, because it's, especially right now, challenging times. But those two books are incredible because they talk about your soul blueprint and discovering the meaning of your life, and the gifts that you came in with. Gifts, we all did. Every single, there's no exception to that at all. And I love
that's
that.
very true. That's very true. And it's about discovering these gifts. And I don't know why we make it so complicated, but I think it is what you said. Sometimes I think the way that the world, in some parts of the world, has in a way made us be all that we're not meant to be. I think that's the point. And in some parts of the world, it's much easier to be who you are. And in some, it's far more difficult. But I think, as I said earlier, I think this is a huge awakening, a huge, jolt to say you need to open your eyes, and not just your physical eyes, but your spiritual eyes to what the hell are you here for? It's not about owning a house and having a few children and a husband or a partner or a wife or whatever you want to have, a house and a car. That is not what life is about. And now that we are in this dimension of sorts, that everything is coming crashing around us, now is the time to really search for the answers to your life, because we are moving so quickly through these dimensions at the moment. And I spoke to someone and they said to me, that sounds all very Star Trek. And I said, well, you know what? That just shows me that you and I are not on the same vibrational level. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Because that sort of said to me, don't waste your time anymore. Be with the people that want to hear your voice. Those that don't want to, they don't have to. It really doesn't matter. But it's not a point of trying to grab somebody by the hair, forcing them into a corner, military style, and saying, you must do this. And I think everything that's happening now, Marie, is somehow forcing us to be like that because we're not following our soul contract.
That's exactly it. And I think that's why this is going to be the most important thing. And it's already doing it. It's almost like it's separating people now, and wherever people are on this is okay, but let's just see it, right? It's like separating the people that really are connected to their soul mission. You'll find the people that are, and they have that spiritual connection, are generally doing better in terms of their emotional resilience, their mental health, their physical, whatever, than the people who really haven't done that yet. And I think this is a big invitation now to really, if you choose and you're open to really now step back into really give yourself some time and space to figure out, why are you here? This isn't, it's like we're going beyond now. We live our lives normally, and then we've got a few spiritual people over here who are a bit woo-woo and a bit kind of strange. What's happening is the spiritual side of us is now becoming normal. It's now because it has to. And what's happened is that on this planet, it's almost like the whole planet was hijacked, and it was, instead of allowing us to develop and grow and create and expand all the things we came here for, we've come down to this planet, and because of the structures, we've been, distracted with, get on the treadmill, earn a living, pay off your debt, raise your children, be busy, and that's why when people are busy, they're not seeing their truth. They're not seeing how to love one another. They're not seeing how to be creative, because they think creativity is like a little luxury. Creativity is who we are. It's intrinsic to us. So we're being lovingly guided into this, it needs to be like a big shake up, wake up call. So this is why I see it in such a positive light, because I can see we're going to move through this chaos, and we are going to be more connected. It's just, we've got to ride through that. But it could be the most amazing, powerful time of your life if you choose to see it that way and embrace it.
Which is not so easy.
Not so easy. No.
It's not so easy, because there are people that maybe you've known for a very long time, and they actually don't agree with you. And it's not a case of like, maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago, Marie, where, well, I don't like this and you don't like that, and that's fine. Now it's more to a point of, well, if you don't like that and you don't agree with what I'm saying, then you're my enemy. And that is a very difficult equilibrium to strike a balance with, because ultimately we have to remember that we are all human.
Definitely. And because there's a division, isn't there? There's a real division happening on one hand, because I know quite a lot of people who are separating at the moment, just because in their marriages, their relationships, and even friendships, because the divide is so big. It's like people are feeling like they're literally on different planets now.
Yes,
we are. And that's kind of what the 3D to 5D transition is. It's not that we're all going to go off to another place. It's already here. It's all here. It's like we can be on the same street as one another, And that person could be in this dimension and this person could be in this dimension, and it's completely different ways. So when that happens in your social circle or your family, that's really challenging. It's a really, so this is not, so I'm not saying as magical and powerful as this is, it's also for a lot of people a very challenging and difficult and painful experience at the moment, because it's a lot of separation from what you knew. You know, it's happening a lot.
And the strange thing about it is what I was thinking about the other day was that last year, everybody, I felt this total unity with everybody. But suddenly, a great division came. And I think what happened is that fear began to play a major role. Because if you are going to threaten somebody's life, in whichever way that may be, you will see people do the most craziest of things. Because fear is a great motivator for a lot of people, and it's a big manipulator. So people that are completely sort of day-to-day living their lives, but you inject the fear of death or the fear of losing everything, which is normal as earthly beings, the people become totally irrational. And it's at this point when you hit that mark of, there's a line. I do believe there's a line of sanity and insanity, and we're all walking that line. And I think people are just being pushed off the edge very easily. Because I remember being on Mount Sinai, I've spoken about it before, and I was petrified at one point because we were up on this mountain, it was pitch black, we had the Bedouins, we had the moonlight, but I then suddenly realised I was scared of heights. I mean, it's crazy, but I suddenly realised that I was afraid of heights. And here I am up this mountain, and I froze literally with fear. You could have done anything at that point to me because I was petrified and I froze. And this is the most dangerous place for anyone to be, is in this state of permanent fear. How do we, as beings, as humans, you know, we're not the only sort of beings that exist on this planet and beyond. How do we deal with that, Marie, do you think?
I think it depends on the level of your awareness, because some people, when you go into that, because it's happening everywhere, people that go into that full-blown fear, let's use the current world events, total fear, totally believing what they're seeing, how do they get out of it? Well, they've got to understand that they're in the fear to begin with. So if they don't see it, it's quite challenging. But for the people that understand that they're being triggered, so when you know that you're in fear and you've gone into, you know, you could be scrolling through social media and get caught up in the cycle. I did that last year a lot until I kind of disconnected from it. But it's like understanding that you're in fear. And I would just start, first of all, very simple, but just start with just acknowledging that you've just been triggered, you're in fear, and just start with taking a breath into your body. So there are lots of different techniques and things, but I just think as just something to do in the moment is just taking a breath. I always do hand across my collarbone, which is where you've got a really nice acupressure point there for kind of anxiety and overwhelm. So hand across your collarbone, across your chest, whole palm across there, and just take 3 nice deep breaths in the moment. And it's just, I think it's a real process to work through the fear, but just first of all, just acknowledging that you're in it. That's kind of in the real moment. And then secondary to that is what I always do is kind of just, it's the ability, I suppose, and practice to zoom out of this story of what you're seeing and look at the bigger picture. That always helps me. I sort of do that naturally because I feel very connected to something beyond even this planet. But if you can sort of, whether that's meditation practice, whether that's journaling, whether that's some quiet time. I think right now, one of the most important things is to have a daily practice, easier for some people than others, because obviously some people are homeschooling 5 children at the moment and goodness knows what. But even if it's just a few minutes, a few moments of just really giving yourself some space to just think and hear your own thoughts, because the fear is really just coming from the outside. We're never really if we're connected inwards, we don't really feel, the fear isn't coming from inside of us, even though it feels like it. It's really being fueled by something we've heard, something we've seen, something we're believing, that it's pulling us away from feeling safe, feeling okay in the moment. So there are so many things we could do with that, but it's just to kind of give a starting point of having that space. I think is so important every day, because we get so stuck on social media and all sorts of things, right? All sorts of input coming at you and the noise.
And it's good advice. And I think one of the very good pieces of advice that someone gave a few days ago to me was, don't look at anything that's out there. Don't look, don't listen, and just recenter yourself. Because everything out there is not helping anything in here.
Yeah. I have a personal rule, because last year I went through the kind of motions of doing, like, going down the rabbit hole for 3 days and sort of learning and researching. And, I went through various stages last year. What I find now, I have a personal rule of I never go online, do anything. I don't have even a TV in the house. We scrapped that like 2 years ago. So I never go online until I filled myself up. I notice even now, if I was to just break that rule and just have a scroll through Facebook, and my vibration comes down pretty quickly. No matter how strong you are, it's just a frequency. It's going to drop your frequency. So I have a rule of always filling myself up, whether that's just quiet time, having breakfast, doing my meditations, my journaling, whatever, you might have a busier sort of morning, but just doing something to fill yourself up, get your vibration up, laugh at something, listen to a piece of music, anything, doesn't matter. And then when you go on there, whether you're looking at stuff or not looking at stuff, but just, you can hold your vibration a lot easier. Because I think what people do is maybe they haven't slept, and then they're stressed and they're upset, and then they go on Facebook and then they feed themselves with more stories, and then it's just a cycle. So yeah, really it's just more kind of conscious, I like to say conscious scrolling. But yeah, really, and if you're really someone that's really struggling, come off it altogether. There's no requirement for you to have to keep seeing this stuff. I personally,
absolutely,
because I really, it's part of kind of my thing, my mission as well, to see what's happening. I like knowing what's happening, but I'm very, I strengthen myself up before I do it. And it just makes such a difference. And lots of baths, lots of water, I find it really energetically will cleanse you. I can't tell you the amount of showers I've taken in the last year, purely just to deal with my energy, just get in the shower or have a bath, but cleanse yourself. Because with water, you can really, especially if you're very sensitive type and you can feel anxieties and fears and stress, get in the shower and just imagine yourself washing it off you. It's the most powerful thing. So easy. I can shift myself so easily with water, and a lot of people feel that, especially if you're very sensitive. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's good advice. Yeah. And I suppose reconnecting back to nature,
yes,
to the ground, is a very important one. I had a guest on the other week, and he's a martial arts expert, and that's one of the things that he says really works is really to reconnect, is to go back into nature, because it's part of who we are. But I want to go back actually to ask you something, Marie, because you speak about last year and the things that lots of us have gone through, but you in a way had an initiation from what I feel into the higher realms of understanding.
Definitely. Yeah. So I kind of call it like a starseed awakening, and I hadn't even kind of come across the term starseed until last year. So just a side note, if you notice any of these terms popping up in your awareness, it might be something getting your attention, because I saw this word pop up last year about starseeds and kind of light workers, and I never considered myself to be any of these things. I just thought I cared about the world and people. And last year, so I started to get more in touch with my mission. So suddenly I kind of had this energy coming in. I don't know where it came from. I remember I did a post, it was March last year. It was a very different post it may even be how we connected, because I suddenly connected with lots of different people off the back of this wake up call post I did. And it was almost like it just all came in, and I just laid out what's going on in the world, what it really is, what's happening. This is the transition. And it just whooshed in. It got shared something like 85 times or something, which isn't normal for me. Wouldn't have happened for me on Facebook. And it's something sort of clicked where I got this knowledge coming in that I didn't even know I had. So I just sat with that. And over the course of the last year, it's happened more and more. And it's like a lot of people may experience some version of this, where you sort of just know things that maybe you didn't know you knew, or you've got a sense of like, you just feel things and you maybe can't even back it up with any logic or evidence. So I would just wake up and just sort of know things I didn't know. So
give us an example for,
what would I know? Like the stuff about what came in, like the how controversial do you want me to go here? I don't want to like open up anything. So like, let's
follow your heart.
Yeah, I'm going to just go. We won't get into the vaccines, but just use it as an example. The vaccine issue was when it started, even last year before it was a thing. I just woke up with the knowledge that vaccines are very bad for humanity. These are going to come out and they're very bad. They need to be avoided. And I just woke up with that knowledge, and I hadn't really thought about it. It wasn't in the mainstream yet. A couple of people maybe had mentioned it. So it's things like that I just woke up with, like, this is a piece of information that humanity needs to know, that kind of thing. And it's happened frequently where I've just known, like I've just woken up knowing, no, we are actually on this timeline. The earth is ascending. We absolutely are doing it. We've already done it on another timeline. This has already happened. So all we're doing is just bringing it through now. And we just need to ride through that. Doesn't mean to say we're not going to maybe lose people or it's going to be uncomfortable, but we're moving through it. So I just woke up with an absolute conviction and a knowing. And I found myself writing about these things, still questioning myself, thinking, but how do you know this? Where's the source? I was a lawyer, all about the evidence. And I started to just stop questioning myself and trusting it more and more. And what I now realize is that what I was doing was channeling through. So fast forward to this year, very recently, I started getting signs and signals around galactic information, sort of beings of different dimensions. I just started to see a post pop up or a book title pop up, and that's kind of how signs come to me. It's always been like that. And I started to kind of follow the threads, and I had like my oracle cards. I suddenly got the call to just order a set of oracle cards that I never had before, starseed ones, and just things I was following. And so I had what I now call like an activation a couple of weeks ago, very, very recently as we're talking. And I had a starseed reading done because the starseed thing kept coming. A starseed, for anyone that doesn't know, is basically it's a soul. We all drop in as souls into the human form to live this life, but some souls don't originate from the human form, from planet Earth. There are souls that have lived many lives on other galaxies and other dimensions, which when you look at soul energy, it makes sense, because of course we're not, to say it's just our planet here is kind of crazy. And if you understand about souls can incarnate across the galaxy. Earth is just one place that we choose to come here because of it's so varied and crazy. We seem to love coming down here. There are better places, but we seem to like it. So I just kind of connected into this. So I got a starseed reading, and I got confirmation that, as I believed, and I kind of knew already, that my starseed was from other dimensions, but also having had lots of incarnations here, which is why I'm very connected to humanity as well. So I was on this kind of journey, and then as you do, you sort of hear the right teacher at the right time. And I came across this woman who channeled the Arcturians, who are a kind of higher dimensional beings. They're from another planet, another dimension. And a lot of the other dimensions are assisting the planet right now. So what we're going to find is, over the next few years and beyond, we're going to have more information coming down from these galactic beings who are very much here to help humanity. They are absolutely no danger. They are here to assist us. One of the old narratives to deceive us is that aliens are crazy and they're evil, and yes, there are all types, but there are galactic beings that are here, same as the angelic realm, are here to assist us and send lots of light to us. So I connected with that. I started to find my origins, and the bizarre thing that happened last month was my husband, who's very, in tune as well. He's a martial artist as well, of kind of 40 years now. But
that's interesting.
Yeah, he's got his stories. He's got amazing stories, and he's an amazing man in himself. And he's seen a lot of things. And he woke up in the night, and he had this funny look on his face, because he said he just heard me speaking in my sleep. He said, but it wasn't normal. He said it wasn't. He said it was like it was almost like Morse code, like you were activating something. He was blown away by it. And I woke up feeling really calm, and I felt different in my body. So that was kind of almost like the activator. And it led me to have a session with this woman who was Arcturian. And then she confirmed that one of my origins was Arcturian, as well as the angelic high realm, and I can channel both. And I've just had this sort of another level of awakening. And what's been happening now is getting messages from the higher realms, and I've been told that that's going to come through more and more, and that's what I'll be doing a lot of in the world, which did blow me away, I must say, a couple of weeks ago, in one way. And in another way, I thought, but I kind of knew it all along. Deep down, it's like, it makes complete sense when I join the dots now of how I knew things and how I heard things, and I had information that didn't make any sense. So it's been a journey, definitely.
And it's an ongoing
journey. Yes.
It's an ongoing journey. Now, to some people, this might sound extraordinarily strange.
Crazy. I totally get that, yeah.
To me, it sounds completely normal, of course. But out there, people will say, well, what does that actually mean? And but you hear all sorts of things, don't you? And there are all sorts. We are not the only creation on this planet. There are so many different levels. There are so many different planets and realms of existence, and we're just a small, minute, I suppose, grain of sand in a huge, multiple universe galactic field. Now, how was it, Marie, when you discovered that this is actually who you were? What did that bring to your life?
I had tears. It was like a recognition. So it was first of all, it was very emotional. Like, I say emotional, not in the kind of shocking way. It was more in a very beautiful, I recognize myself now. Okay, I didn't just imagine this stuff. But in my life, it's just brought this massive expansion in, and a very rock solid, my mission is completely clear now. So obviously my messages are going to come through more and more, but the mission is I am absolutely here to help guide people through this period. And more than anything is to raise their frequency, their vibration, and expand their consciousness, because that's the piece that we have to do it. The time is now. We have to do it now to move forwards. And this is why we're seeing this divide of those that just don't. I mean, anyone listening to this, you've already opened your consciousness enough, because you wouldn't be listening to a podcast like this. So this applies to every single listener, wherever they are in the world. But there are people that are so close to it. It's why they're making decisions now out of fear that the consequences are going to be their consequences. It's just how it is going to be for them. There is no right or wrong here. It's just a level of awareness. But it's just about the importance of, really, the time is now. We were due this. When we came down to this planet to create and ascend and to grow, and what's happened instead is that it's almost like a big net has been cast over the planet, and it's held us all down for much longer than was necessary. So what's happening is we're taking the net off, and it's scary sometimes, because the structures that we knew are falling away. They're crumbling beneath our fingers and our feet, and it feels very unsteady. But the way I see it, and I've always seen it this way, it's like a demolition. So if you've got a beautiful piece of land, you've got a house on there, the wrecking balls come in, it's demolished the building, okay, so we've got rid of the building, but what we're left with is all the rubble, the kind of we're trying to crawl over it, find our way. It's chaos. We don't know where we're going. We can't even, most of us can't imagine what's going to be here. But some of us are able to see, no. Beyond the rubble, we're going to clear this away. And on this land, we're going to build the most beautiful, amazing things that are going to uplift the entire planet for every single person that's here. So some of us are here to just hold that vision and keep our eyes on that to help people move through it, because we're going there. 100%. I never say 100%. 100%.
Neither do I.
Yeah,
99.9.
I do that. I go 99.9.8, whatever.
Yeah.
100% we're doing this. This is happening. Whatever happens, this is absolutely happening. There is nothing that will stop it. So we've just got to hold the vision if we can. And if you can't, that's okay as well, because there are people here that can. And we're going to do this together. And we're doing it all in different ways. So even if you're not speaking out and you're not sharing information, but in your heart and soul, you're just focusing on, living your life and connecting to your truth and being the most expansive version of who you are. And you're working on that in whichever way you're working on. That's what you're doing. And that's incredibly important. Imagine if every single person did that. It would be amazing. So we don't all have to be doing these big things, it's like some people will be, but it's not, we don't need to put that kind of pressure on ourselves. It's not about that. There's so much help around us. A lot of people are feeling ascension symptoms, where it's a very physical, because we're moving frequencies, our bodies are actually changing the structure. So a lot of people, you might find that you're feeling lots of fatigue, lots of bursts of energy. 1 minute you're like full of energy and then you just need to sleep, or headaches or digestive stuff. There's a lot of physical sensations going on. So just being aware of that, because once you understand that's just part of this journey, there's nothing to worry about. Because I know that's come up for a lot of people. It's just part of the process. There's so much going on right now.
There's so much going on.
So much.
And I think we have to really go with that flow of what is going on within ourselves and with our body and our mind and our soul on so many levels. And I do believe, what you're saying. I totally believe and I agree with what you're saying. But then we have this other side of people that are completely petrified. And in a way, I've spoken about this before, but it's a sort of a collective madness because we all have our issues and we all have our own madnesses. I believe every single one of us. Yeah. Some of us have the same as each other and some are completely different. But what about this whole thing of, on one side, there is this beautiful horizon that you can feel, you can really in your spirit can feel it. But on the physical realm, there is this whole power struggle for the control of humanity. So what would you say to them, Marie, when people feel that they are, in a way, completely lost, in a way, not conscious and powerless, because they feel they can't move on to this? They feel it in their heart and their soul, and they know that this ascension is happening. But there are the physicalities of the world, technology, whatever you want to call it, that is actually trying to keep people trapped.
Yeah. So there's a physical reality on one hand. Yeah. It's like, maybe you're in lockdown. You can't go somewhere. You can't, you're restricted or whatever. But it's actually, it's being able to see beyond that, because, and this is going to sound a bit strange, it's almost like seeing it as there is an illusion happening. So it's like the illusion that we are restricted, the government's telling us what to do, we're in fear, we're in this crazy time, and we're never going to get, if you believe the doom and gloom, it's like we're heading down to dystopian futures, right? That's what I've
heard a lot about that.
A lot of that.
Said that to me.
Yeah. Because if you take what's being given to you, if you really do, I mean, I've had days last year where I was like, oh my God, what's happening really is going to hell, and then I step back and go, hold on, that's just coming from these stories. It's like, this is how I see it actually, what's coming through now. It's like when you watch a horror film If you're a child, and this isn't in a condescending way, I just mean if you're a child and you watch a horror film, you may really believe when you finish watching it that it's real. So little kids will think, oh, there's a monster under the bed. It is a real thing, because they don't understand. They don't have the level to understand, no, that was a film and it isn't real. So they're totally plugged into that fear, right? So that's one type of person right now. They're seeing the government narrative, they're seeing the media stories, and they're saying, oh, we're never going to get out. We're in this dystopia. This is it. I can see it. Right. The next group of people are kind of the people that can see it and they don't like it, and it does rile them, and it's scary. It's scary to see it. But it's like the child that can see, the older child that can see the film, or an adult sees the horror film, gets scared while they watch it. When they turn the film off, they come back to reality and go, okay, that was just a film. That was scary. I didn't like it. Don't really want to watch that again. I'm a bit nervous now going to the bathroom with the light off, but I know that it's a film. I know that it's a movie. So what I'm trying to say is it's almost like it's having the choice and the awareness to say, okay, this is scary, but what I'm looking at is scary. What I'm looking at does not feel good, and I don't like that version of it. So what we need to be doing is, I guess it's a trust and a leap here, is to be able to unplug and actually stop looking at those things, because the more you look at it, the more powerful it becomes. Because I tell you, if you didn't, let's go drastic, if you turned your TV off and got rid of it, I'm not saying you have to, but if you got rid of your TV and you didn't watch a single news story and you just didn't hear anything about anything for a week, your happiness levels would rise. Your stress would calm down. It just would naturally. So a lot of this where, yes, we are seeing it as a reality, but we're feeding it constantly. And that is very deliberate. That's why we're being bombarded. I mean, I only imagine what the TV is doing right now with the adverts and the soaps and the series and things that I saw little clips of EastEnders and something recently where they were really pushing certain agendas. So you're being bombarded with it. If you see it as they're doing it deliberately, you can step away and say, right, I'm not going to almost give them the satisfaction of buying into that. The problem is if I don't believe probably many people are if they're listening to this, but if you're someone who is watching and reading and believing it's true and you're really, really plugged in, you've got to unplug. First step is unplugging. You can't see a big vision when you're plugged into that. You've got to turn the channel. And that's probably the step number one, is unplug.
Excellent advice.
You can't go anywhere. There's a whole other things that we can talk about, but until you've unplugged, and I don't mean never look at anything again, I just mean unplug from the media and the stories as your source of truth, because that's not a source of truth. It's just a source of crap. It's just being fed to you. It's like, come off the sci-fi horror channel.
Yes.
Because that's all you're watching. It's like, you want to know how to feel better, just switch the flipping channel. And it's like, I say that with love, right? Because that's what we're doing. It's like people that are wondering, oh, I'm so in fear and I can't see it. You're feeding yourself. I'm going to say this like tough love. You're feeding yourself with one channel. If you look at this channel, you're going to see something else. I even do this now. Sometimes I go on Facebook and because I have a lot of variety of connections on there. So I like it because I like to see all the different views, right? Really varied. And sometimes I'm like, whoa, that was intense. I'm going to come off there. I'll go onto YouTube and maybe go, right, I'll go onto the YouTube channels and I'll select the people that I love to hear from, the people that I know when I sit and listen to them for 10 minutes, they're speaking truth and they make me feel calmer, and it reminds me of what's true. You can't do that when you listen to politicians. No way. Or whoever else you're following. So it's being really deliberate. It's like, you don't just go to a restaurant and just eat any old rubbish they give you. You choose off the menu. What would you like to eat? Okay, I choose this for my starter, this for my main course.
Choice.
It's just a choice. Yeah.
I suppose it's Marie taking the power back into our own hands.
Definitely. And we are so powerful. We're so, and that's why, if you think about it, that's why they've got to bombard us with messages, because it takes an awful lot to overcome our power. So that's why we've got to have it from all different angles, because they know that we are so powerful when we are just left alone. We are incredible. You know what's a great piece of evidence? I said this to my husband the other day. Here in the UK, it was like we had one beautiful sunny day. It's all grey now, but it was beautifully sunny. And I said, isn't it funny how one bit of sunshine, everybody's vibration lifted, even people who maybe they're not spiritually aware. They're just people going around and they don't even connect in that way. Yet their vibration naturally rose just because they had a bit of sunshine. They played a bit of music. We had a couple of neighbours here, played a bit of music. There was a bit of happiness in the air just from the weather. And I thought that to me made me laugh, thinking we are so damn powerful. We don't need much. We don't need much to lift our vibrations, but what they do, what the world is structured to do, is bombard us with music frequencies that lower us, terrible storylines, news articles, doom and gloom, symbols everywhere when you go to the shops of there's a virus and we're all unsafe, all of these messages. If we just unplug, in fact, a challenge, unplug from all of the mainstream stuff for 3 days, play your favorite music, do some things, watch some things that make you laugh, and see how you feel after those 3 days. Really, see how you feel.
That's very good advice, actually.
Try it, 3 days. Challenge yourself. And if it doesn't work, then I'm talking nonsense, but I have a feeling it will.
I mean, you're very generous, 3 days. I mean, I would have said a week.
Yeah,
but,
ideally, but just, make it, set up a really easy win for yourself. Do 3 days, 3 days of actively choosing. If you scroll and you see something about some government, no, flick through, no, seek out. Your mind will look for whatever you're planting it. It's like that thing. If you look for a red car, you'll see a red car. So if you scroll through and only look for funny, uplifting, good things and ignore everything else, come away from all the news, switch the news off completely. Why would you watch it anyway? And just deliberately choose, like, what can you eat that you like? Is there someone you can ring on the phone or spend time with if they're there? Can you play all your favorite music from the best times you had in your life? See how you feel. None of this stuff costs money. You can do this just from where you are, and notice your vibration. Your vibration. Abraham Hicks talks about this. They say it's like the cork, right? Where corks in a water, all it is if you're holding the cork down with your finger under the water, it stays under the water. When we just let go, the cork just bobs up to the surface. We don't need to try hard. We just put our finger off and it bobs up. So that's like us. If we just take away we don't have to force ourselves into a state. We just have to remove the things that are holding us down, and we will naturally rise up. Sunshine does it all the time in this country. We go crazy for a bit of 5 minutes of sun, right? We're so deprived.
We are indeed, actually.
We get so happy, though. We get so happy. So it doesn't take a lot to just shift. We talk about raise your consciousness, shift your vibration. It sounds like you've got to do like 5 years of going into a mountain and meditating. No, you can shift your vibration in really practical ways, really easy, practical. You just got to deliberately do it. You can't, especially right now, you can't just float through life and just not try and train yourself, because there's too much coming at us. So we've all got like a personal responsibility of, right, let's be really conscious. Let's get really deliberate now. Let's choose everything. Let's be really aware of, even down to like, who do we spend time with on the phone? Have we just had a conversation with someone who's dropped our vibration down? Right, how do we pick it back up? How do we go have a shower and blast some music? That's what I do. It's the quickest way, So there's so many ways you can do it.
And find your own way. This is important.
Yeah, it's your own way. Exactly. Like I know I've got a client who does like crossword puzzles. I that would stress me, but she does.
And me, because I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh damn, my perfectionist would come out, and it would just become a thing that would lower me straight away. For her, she just does some crossword puzzles, and it relaxes her, and she just gets into a good vibe. I've got another client who just likes knitting. It doesn't matter. Find your thing. It could be the most bizarre thing. It doesn't matter. It could be the most simple thing. Sometimes for me it's cleaning. I like cleaning. Sometimes I can't stand it. But sometimes I really love it. I love cleaning and getting my sage stick out and saging my home and opening the windows. And sometimes that just shifts me. I love it. And you've got to unplug. You've got to unplug. That's the one thing. You cannot plug into that narrative and expect yourself to not be in fear. you know.
It's about also who we spend our time with.
Who we spend our time with, definitely. And, as much as all the division that's happening, I've seen a lot of that. What I'm now seeing, though, is beautiful amounts of unity. There are many groups coming together. I'm seeing it on Telegram and definitely even on Facebook still. But there's lots of groups, and now people are merging together because they share values now. Like if you're an awakened person and you see what's happening right now and you connect with other awakened people, you've got these massive values. Sometimes they can be stronger than with people that you've known for a really long time, and that can be challenging. But you might find your relationships are shifting now, and there is for every division there's unity happening, and people are now starting to say, how can we get together? How can we brainstorm? How can we think of ideas and support each other? There's some lovely groups where people are just sharing, they're feeling a bit worried about, going to the shop today, not wearing a mask. And then they've got these people supporting them, and they're giving each other, boosts of energy. It's a beautiful thing. And that's happening more. And I think that's going to continue more and more and more.
I think that's the important thing, isn't it, Marie? That we have to find, in a way, our tribe, the ones that give us peace, the ones that don't judge us, the ones that we feel that our soul can be free with, that there isn't that restriction. Because you will know more so now, as you said, we're going through a transformation also on a cellular level. Whether people believe it or not doesn't stop it from being the truth. But there are many, many things going on out there. But what's important is, like you said, to disconnect, unplug, call it what you like. But, don't look at Facebook for 3 days or social media, and see for the next 3 days how you feel, and do it step by step. Don't look at the news for 3 days and see how you feel. If someone has upset you, even though you've known them for many years, don't talk to them for a while.
Yeah, definitely. And
cherish yourself enough to do that.
It is. It's that self comes back, and everything comes back to that self-love, right? If you value yourself enough, you are allowed to do that. And it's sometimes we, especially when we're heart-centered people, we have such very small boundaries. We're not good at putting, it was something I had to learn, like really putting boundaries in place for your own self and sanity and health. And it's okay to step away from people who are triggering you for whatever reason. It's really, actually, it's not more than okay. It's actually required of you now, of really, really allowing yourself. It's okay to do that. Sometimes you just need to hear it, that it's totally okay. You're allowed.
It's true. It's true. And stop talking. I really believe this as well. Stop talking about the same subject over and over, and it's like a mantra, over and over, and then fear then becomes in a way like a self-hypnosis, because you then become also an addict, because you need that constant fix of this sort of delusional state of constantly seeking, there's no other way to say it, but feeling shit.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes we're, not that we want to be, but we can be addicted to that. I definitely recognize that in myself from years ago. When we're in this kind of chaotic, stressy, kind of horrible feeling, we get very used to that. So sometimes it feels almost, I get this a lot with my clients when they say they've sort of found a sort of piece of calmness and they can connect with themselves. And sometimes it feels like it's a bit uncomfortable, it's new, it's unfamiliar, it's like, feels a bit empty, I'm not sure. So this is about easing yourself into it. And I always say it's just a practice. Don't expect yourself just to cut off from everything, find your inner peace and all
impossible.
That hasn't even happened for me. I have days where I definitely go into that human, oh no, and then I recognize it, saying, okay, you've just been on Facebook for 3 hours, what do you expect? Come off that. So it happens, but it's just easing yourself in. And I think it's like a practice of, what does it feel like in your life, in your body, to feel good? What does feeling good feel like to you? We're all different. It could just be being on your own a bit. It could be with your kids or your dog or whatever. But it's really practice. Like, see it as a practice, and then you don't have to put the pressure on yourself to become 5D. I'm seeing a lot of this. It's like, you now need to become a 5D being. and come out of the 3D and become a spiritually enlightened person. It's like, well, if it was that easy, we would have all done that 30 years ago, right? Practice. And just, so the first step is it's just being aware. And it might be that you just want to observe your life a little bit. Just notice it. I started with a notebook. I remember doing this years ago, and I just jotted down, like, what kind of things was I thinking about? What did my mind do? And I noticed my mind was one of the things I noticed was it was just very critical about myself. It was all pressured. It was all kind of fear and stress. And so you just got to sort of understand that's where you are, with a load of compassion. And it's okay wherever you are right now, wherever you are. It's just a journey. Some people have been doing this journey for longer. That's all it is. They're not better than you. Nobody's better than anyone else. It's just awareness. So it's just real practice, and being really, really gentle with yourself through this really challenging, because no matter how awake you are, this is a challenging period for everybody. Yeah. So you don't have to be breezing through this like, this is amazing and I love it. I mean, I know where we're going, and I still find it challenging on some days.
Yes.
To work quite hard at, right, I feel really quite annoyed or quite frustrated today, or low or sad or whatever I'm feeling. I pick up a lot of collective energy, so I really have to manage it. It's like sometimes I just let myself feel like I'm really sad today. Had a day a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I'm really sad that certain people that I love don't see it, can't see it. I'm really sad. And I just let myself feel. I think I cried a little bit. I played some music, I had a bath, did all those things, and just let myself feel it until the feeling just moved, And it's because what sometimes we do is we feel angry or sad, and then we say, no, we've got to hold our vibration and be really super positive. But that can be quite fake. If your energy isn't feeling it, you don't have to force yourself. All emotions are totally fine. You can feel whatever you feel. Your body is just, no matter how enlightened or dimensions you're in, your body is a physical human body. So you're going to feel all the human emotions. And that's totally allowed. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I mean, we have the seasons within us, there's a time and a place and everything, under heaven, there is a time for it all. And one thing that I've learned throughout my life is that everyone is afraid to die, but everyone's going to die. I mean, that's the stark reality. But the point is not to die whilst we're alive.
Yes.
To be so afraid to live that we've died already.
Yeah. Exactly. And many people are living like that. And many people have been living like that for a really long time. So this is just, the earth is literally saying, we're moving now. Enough of that way of living. We've done it. We are where we are. We have somewhere better to go. So there is an expansion is happening. And sometimes expansion cracks us open, and sometimes it's beautiful and sometimes it's difficult, and it's all okay. So there's no one way to travel this whole thing. We're all doing it in so many different ways.
And that's okay.
That is okay.
That's okay. And we can't compare to other people because we will be consistently down or depressed or sorrowful. But, literally one day at a time. Don't worry about tomorrow, because that's the trap of where, the negative forces are pulling you forward to tomorrow. What could happen tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the summer and the winter and in 100 years time. And then you've got the past, which is pulling you in another direction where, well, look at what happened to you and this, what happened. Well, we don't want that to happen. The past, we can never go there. And the future, well, we really don't know what's going to be there and whether we're going to make it to the future, but we're hoping that we do. So what matters really is we're standing on this bridge called the now. And that's the most important thing, is what we're doing in this moment.
Definitely. And it's always about, we only ever have it, right? The future that we talk about is never really here, because when we get there, it's the now again. It's like we're always in the now. That's there. And, one of the things, if you're really in that, you will have days if you're really in fear and stress and you're worried about, very natural, you're worried about your family and what's going to happen, and ask yourself, and this is the question I've asked myself through the most stressful situations, is, can I survive today? Can I make it through today? Do I have everything I need today?
Yeah.
You know, and usually the answer is yes. And if the answer was no, it would mean that, okay, there's something urgent that's in your immediate now that you do need to look at, which you'd be doing. But often the mind takes us into, how am I going to, financially, our businesses or our homes or our, our health, or what's going to happen. It's like, okay, am I okay right now? Yep.
Yeah.
Am I okay for the rest of this day? Can I get through today? Okay. And that's all we need to do. And if you just keep asking that question, at one stage I made that my mantra. I was freaking out. It's like years ago. Am I okay right now in this moment? Yeah. Well, I'm intact. I'm here. I'm breathing. Okay. Am I going to make it through today? Yes. I can handle today. Okay. That's it. And tomorrow and the next day, you do the same thing.
Yeah.
And after a while, it really just trains you into, okay, it's just now. What do I need in this moment? Literally, what do I need in this moment? Do I need to go to the loo? Do I need a drink? Do I need some food? Do I need to cry? What do I need? And it's just asking yourself. And if you keep asking yourself, the answers will come to you. You don't need to push or force. It's like, what do I need right now? And what, if I don't like what I feel right now, what little adjustment can I make? And it's just the next step. What's your next move? Sometimes your next move is, oh, I need to drink something. I'm thirsty. Right. Do that. Yeah. Now what's your next move? And just keep doing it moment by moment. Of course, your mind's going to want to know what's going to happen 2 years from now, but that's just your mind. Your mind is always going to do that. You're not going to try and stop that, because your mind is, it's going to do its thing. So there's a lot of pressure we do. It's like, we've got to empty the mind. Well, good luck with that. I haven't managed to do that yet. But you can quieten the mind, and you can focus your mind. If you choose a point of focus.
Yeah, and reassure the mind.
Reassurance and self-talk, like, I'm okay. I am safe. I mean, I was training myself when I was, at my worst with my illness. I used to say to myself, I'm okay, I'm safe. I can just take a breath. I just talk to myself. I'd say, well done for getting through the day. Well done for being here. Whatever.
That's important, isn't it? To acknowledge ourselves at the end of the day, and to say, you know what? You did it. Look, we did it. It's okay. Be kind to yourself.
Actually, yeah. If you're kind to yourself, it reduces all the stresses and the fears. It doesn't make it disappear completely, but it really does. It really does bring in this element of, you can say to yourself, oh, that was a tough day. I freaked out at this person. I lost my temper here. I hate the world. I'm not happy. Well done. I'm here. Whoa, I got through that day. Well done, and just bring yourself some compassion. And most of us don't do that because we're never taught to do it. That would have been something quite handy to learn at school, but we never were taught that. So we can start, no matter what age you are, start right now. Right now is just tell yourself, and every day tell yourself something kind. It could even be, I used to do it every time I brush my teeth, tell myself something kind. Pair it with something you would do,
Yes. And give yourself a compliment, And definitely. When we turn the focus onto ourselves, and we begin to respect ourselves, and we begin to love ourselves and to cherish who we are, I think then we can begin to really channel, like yourself, Marie, the energies of light that will give us the answers that we need. And then we can be of use not only to ourselves, but to those that we love, and further beyond that. Yeah, definitely. And everybody can channel. It isn't just like everybody, people think, oh, certain people can channel or have got spiritual gifts. Every single one of us has it. It's just the extent to which we are able to bring it in. And that comes on this journey. So we all have this voice, some of us do it through journaling or, whatever, through song or what, it doesn't matter. You all have this gift. So it's just about the more you can be kind to yourself and connect and give yourself love and feed yourself with good things, feed yourself, and that includes, funny, my husband was talking about that this morning about our diet. And he was saying, diet isn't just food. It's what you who you spend time with, it's your environment, it's your, what you read, what you watch, what you listen to, all of these things. It's like they all build a picture. So just start with where you are and just start with those words that you say to yourself. That's like number one. Yes. And have your own mantra.
Yes.
The mantra that is actually, I believe that every soul resonates with its own mantra.
Yes.
And that is what is the key, that when everything is going crazy around us, if we can just reconnect to that divinity within us, if we can connect to that huge source of the divine, we become powerful beyond recognition.
Yes, so much so. And we're so loved as well. It's like if you've got just like a tiny bit of that love that is around us and above us, and it moves through us, it's so powerful. It's like I would have laughed at myself saying something like that like 7 years ago, but it's like I live that now, and I get those glimpses of, I can feel just how much we are loved as well down here, all the souls that are down here on this journey through this very, very significant period of history that we're creating. There's so much love is coming at us from the higher realms around us. There's so much admiration and respect for the fact that we are like these brave soldiers that decided to come down on this planet. It was not an easy time we chose, but yet here we are, and we are so much more powerful. You're powerful just because you're here. I don't even have to know you. Anyone listening, I'll know just because you're here, you are incredibly powerful, because you wouldn't be here during this time if you weren't. That's really
what a wonderful thing. What a wonderful thought, and what a wonderful reality, Marie.
Absolutely.
A beautiful thing to think. And even if you only remember that,
just that, breathe that in, literally just breathe that in, and remember you are so powerful. There was a choice about coming here, and you made it. You don't ever have to remember having made that choice, but you did, and you're here, and you wouldn't have done that if you weren't equipped. And the world needed your light that you have, whatever that looks like. There's no one way. It's you're so powerful, and that's part of my mission, is to remind people how powerful you are as a human being. We haven't even discovered it yet, and I can't wait, because this is going to come in more and more and more.
I love it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's energizing.
It is.
And as you're talking, I feel it. I believe it.
Good.
And how wonderful to have you on the show today. Absolutely amazing. What an amazing person you are, really, Marie.
Thank you. And I loved it. I could have chatted to you all day, I believe. So probably have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah. For several lifetimes, I'm sure we've met.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and sharing this beautiful knowledge and this beautiful light of yours, because anyone who hears it, I'm sure it doesn't have to be something in what you've said, but something, how you make somebody feel. And I'm sure there are people out there that are going to listen to this it's just what they need. It's what's needed right now. And it's the sprinkling of your star seeds, as you say, out there. Beautiful. Now, as we come to the end of the episode, I want to ask you, firstly, I'll ask you that in a moment, but first, for people out there who want to connect to you, who would like, now, one thing, do you do one-to-one sessions with people?
I do, yeah. So I've got everything on my website.
So what's the address?
Yeah, so it's www.theawakerevolution.com.
Okay. And people are free to get in contact with you there.
Totally. Yeah. If you go on the website, there's a contact form. It's all laid out, kind of the sessions. And you can jump on my email list if you want to on this. Everything's on the website. They can contact me there.
Where else can they find you?
Facebook is where I'm hanging out currently. Obviously, those things are changing. So I've got, find me on Facebook. I've got a private Facebook group. I have a business page, but it's kind of doesn't really get seen very much. So it's the private group is the Awake Revolution Soul Team. So in there, I do quite a few like live streams, videos, do some lovely oracle card messages and things in there. Love doing that.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, they're just like magical energy. Usually do them a couple of times a month. So yeah, feel free to check that out. Free private group in there. That's probably the best place to connect. Yeah, because I'm pretty much on Facebook. I do have a Telegram channel. That's a new sort of thing. So I don't know the exact URL for that, but on Telegram, if you're a Telegram user, you can just search the Awake Revolution with Marie Fleming Grant, and it will just come up.
And Telegram is something like WhatsApp, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like,
because I got rid of my WhatsApp, but the Telegram, you can have private messaging on there, but there's like a channel, so you can follow, a bit like how you'd go on to anyone you follow, you can see their sort of posts and things. So what I love on there is their audio messages. So they're really, you can do written posts, sort of quotes like Facebook, but also little audio drop-ins. So I like to do little kind of daily audio messages on there sometimes. So there's like a variety on there. I really like Telegram.
Oh, and what's it called again?
So it's the Awake, let me just check actually. It's the Awake Revolution. What did I say? All my stuff is the Awake Revolution, but this one is, so it's the Awake Revolution with Marie Fleming Grant is the channel. You'll find it on there.
All right, wonderful.
Yeah, because not everybody's on Facebook now. And that might be changing over the time. So we'll see what happens to all these platforms.
Yes, we'll see. I mean, in any case, they can get hold of you via your website.
Yeah,
that's important to know.
Constant,
okay.
Yeah,
and before we go, I always ask my guests something that has helped you in a paragraph and that you feel would help the people out there and to all the listeners, to all of us, a little sort of message to keep the heart joyful.
Oh, I could go all day. Let me think. What's the message today? To keep the heart joyful. I think it's just to make it a daily practice, no matter what happens or whatever you're going through, is to make it a commitment and a daily practice to yourself that every single day you're going to just give yourself a moment to just take a few breaths and just feel the power of who you are in your physical body. And I think when you do that, you can breathe in that energy and just remind yourself, kind of the way we spoke about today, remind yourself what a powerful being that you are, reminding yourself that you are much more than just the physical human form. There is so much more to you than that, and you already know this. And reminding yourself that you already have all of the answers within you. You are incredibly powerful. So the commitment really, if you choose to accept it, is just to every day do something to connect inwards and really feel that truth. And remind yourself of what an amazing being you are, and doing something every day to lift your vibration in the ways that we said. So play a piece of music, do something, one nice, kind thing for yourself every single day, and you'll just keep yourself on track that way. And I think it's just that remembrance, that soul remembrance. And if you do forget, seeking out messages and people to remind you of that. So really being conscious and following those people and messages and books and media that you really resonate with and that can continuously remind you of who you really are, because you're absolutely here for a reason. Absolutely.
I love it. And I love it that you're a starseed.
Yes.
How wonderful.
And I think a lot of people listening to this will also be starseeds.
Yes, I believe
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that. And I totally resonate with that. And I think it's just now everyone is sort of sending out their smoke signals to say, here I am. And everyone is going to have this huge and wonderful reconnection very soon.
Yes, definitely. And there's so much magic coming up, and it's beyond the illusion of what's happening. You've got to see beyond it. It's like, look over that brick wall. There it is. There's that beautiful garden over there. But don't keep looking over here. Look over there. Look over there as much as you can.
Absolutely. Focus.
Yes.
Focus and do that which gives you peace.
Yes, it's happening. It's definitely happening. So if we just allow that, remember that when all else fails, this is happening. Without a doubt, it's moving, it's happening. Look how far we've come. Look how different the world is. I know it's in chaos, but look how many more people are awake, and look at the conversations we're having now that we never had this time last year. We hadn't even begun.
Yeah.
And, it's going to get better.
And, this is the best time in the moment of complete, in a way, it's like a spiritual war. We each have our own spiritual war within us, but now it's sort of globally that we're in this whole war situation with ourselves, with everybody. And it's at that point of complete destruction that something beautiful can grow.
Definitely. And all good things always come out of this, always. And we're planting so many seeds right now, so many seeds. And we've just got to give it some time, for them to blossom. And wow, the world, in a few years' time will be quite something. We're going to have so many new things coming out, healing modalities, technologies, ways of living. Wow. When you see what's coming through, you can't not be excited. More will come. More of that will come through.
Keep the faith.
Yes, definitely.
Keep the faith. Thank you, Marie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You're totally welcome. Loved it.
And come again.
I will. Again. Yeah, anytime.
And share some of that wonderful, wonderful wisdom and advice. And it would be lovely to have you back on again.
Oh, anytime. Yeah, I'd love to chat with you.
Oh, well, take care. And I wish you all the very best.
Oh, and you.
Oh, okay then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Marie Fleming Grant. Wonderful to hear such inspiring words, as always, from my guests that are from all over the world. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today. And look after yourselves. Keep the faith. Until next time, lots of love.
Thank you for listening to Secrets for an Inspirational Life, brought to you by your host, Mimi Novic. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast and see you in the next episode. For more information about Mimi Novic and her books, music, and inspirational work, take a look at her website, www.miminovic.co.uk.